Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Mark Decana, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
Gather, fellows, hearken to me. I tell you a tale of villainy. On the 28th of December, the year of our Lord 1598, Shakespeare, the Bard of Avon, stole unto London, there to steal a building.
Very good.
Very good. Well done.
So what happened? Rue, what did he say? Are you... Hang on. Are we talking about the Globe Theatre?
Yes and no.
Huh.
So there was a theatre.
There is a theatre.
There is a theatre called the Globe in London. There was a theatre called the Globe in London.
Oh, yeah.
Before that, there was a theatre called the Theatre in London.
Imaginative.
I know, yeah.
It was the Theatre, not a theatre.
Well, the current one is on the site of, well, I was going to say the original, but are you going to say...
It's on the site of the Globe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the site of where it is,
Yeah.
which is not where it was. No,
right.
It's nearby.
Yeah, fine.
In the 400 odd years between the previous Globe and the current Globe, there were other buildings built, so they had to move it down the road.
There were other buildings built
in a few centuries. Didn't just leave the space vacant.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
In prime
real estate. Yeah. So, us just talking about a building being moved is not a true crime subject.
No.
I can't believe I'm going to say, was the building stolen?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, how do you steal a building? Was it done over
If it's a boathouse, it's not so difficult. You just sail it away.
Yeah.
Do you mean a houseboat?
A houseboat,
A
indeed.
boathouse is a house for a boat.
You either do it very, very slowly over a period of several decades, or
You're likely
you do
to be
it over...
caught, though, aren't you?
Well, if you do it just really, really gradually,
Atom at a time.
Have you seen there's another theatre being built on the other side of the river? Oh, is there? Oh, okay. Just
it's got the same structure as this one.
Used to have.
Did we have another floor?
Didn't our roof fall in? But the... or was it done like... I can't believe it was done overnight, but like a Japanese workman fixing a hole in the road. They throw hundreds of people at the project and do things overnight, basically, as opposed to do roadworks.
You've got to do it quick.
Yeah, exactly.
We put out traffic cones and then have a 3-month tea break.
Yeah, exactly. So, was it done overnight?
There are some that think it was.
I mean, it's sure they clearly wasn't.
Probably not.
I mean, just getting it over the river would have been a nightmare.
Absolutely.
A very much wider.
Much wider than now, yeah.
Bridgeless, no, not bridgeless, but less bridges.
Well, there would have been, yes.
It'd been ferries all the way up and down.
There would have been ferries.
It's a ferry over a theatre.
Well, it wouldn't have been.
A barge.
A man on a...
It wouldn't have been prefab. It wasn't like assemble, pick it up.
Ironically, the Millennium Bridge would have been perfect.
Would have been ideal.
Yeah.
It's another beautiful bridge.
Because it would have been mostly big oak timbers and then filled in between with...
Seats
with hay and mud.
It would have been wattle and daub.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, right. So that you get rid of. You have.
So you just knock all of that out,
and
then carry the timber.
So it's just a load of wood.
Yeah, basically. I mean a load of wood, a lot of wood.
Sure.
Huge 30-foot beams,
Yeah, strong wood.
Well, how do you do that? I mean that
under a long coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. This couldn't have been a nefarious means over a period of months.
No. Unless
it was, I don't know, the theatre off-season.
It was December. Let me explain what happened. Let's go back a little bit. A man named Giles Allen owned the land in Shoreditch.
Verily.
And a man named James Burbage took out a lease on the land. He had a contract for the use of the land, on which he then built the theatre. So now imagine the lease expires.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine if you
listeners, all imagine a lease expiring.
Picture that in your mind.
Yeah.
At this time, so you're looking at about, the early 1590s, a few years before the incident. Now, this is a period where you've had plague, and things like actors, troops broken up and dispersed because you can't have people wandering from town to town taking pox with them.
Yep.
And a lot of them have died, obviously. So this man, James Burbage, he said, well, we're going to stay in one place.
Yes.
We're going to get all the people, all the troops who've all been broken up,
get a big
and
room.
form one troupe of players.
But surely that existed anyway, didn't it? The notion of theatre.
The notion of theatre did, yes, but actors at this time were basically considered prostitutes.
Oh, right.
They are low character.
Oh, sorry.
You know, if we had any moral character, we wouldn't be standing here covered with mud drinking.
So even if you thought you were a great actor, these days actors are
lauded,
revered
for some reason.
For some reason, for being.
But you're
great
talking about
pretenders.
the level of life.
Social acceptance level. Yes, they are.
Actors were very low.
Low.
I wonder why
very
that
low.
was. Because they provided
Professional liars.
Well, I don't know.
That's like the whole creative industry, really.
Well, there was nothing else, was
yeah.
there? So that the entire. Remember, I'm talking about back then. There was no other than books. What other?
Read, so they wouldn't.
Well, all right, yeah. So therefore, that was in the entire creative industry, but they were still treated as. It doesn't mean that people had money to chuck away on a bloke going, "Hey, nonny, nonny," but
yeah. Well, you don't have to tell me about people being unappreciated in the workplace. I've had 35 years in retail. I know what that's like. But so he's formed this troupe of people out of all these disbanded groups.
yes, he's brought them all together and put them under one roof.
So he's got the theatre, and he's called his troupe the Lord Chamberlain's Men.
What is't?
Is't, my lord.
When I say what is't, I mean what is it?
'Tis my teeth, my lord. That is why I is't.
So this is about 1594. So 1596, the lease on the land expires.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm still imagining that process.
Very good. So Burbage, he's now got to vacate the land. From 1596, when the lease expired, the Chamberlain's men, they were trying to argue for an extension with Alan, the landowner.
Yep.
Right.
I needs must talk to thee most pressingly for a favour.
The argument took 2 years.
Wow.
After the lease had expired, they're arguing for 2 years about
Okay. So they were,
And they're still occupying it in those 2 years.
No, because he wouldn't let them in.
Oh, right. Okay.
Alan had closed off the theatre.
So they were
couldn't use
end
it.
of tether,
they couldn't
basically.
trespass.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't extend the lease. So they're performing at another place,
right.
another theatre.
Right.
Oh, I can see this, why they're getting all angry and stuff.
That's our theatre. So they're performing at another theatre. They are performing because they still need to make coin.
Do stuff.
Yeah.
So they're at the Curtain Playhouse.
They're rehearsing a play.
Curtain Playhouse, while they're in this limbo, is where Romeo and Juliet is performed for the first time.
Really?
So while they're waiting between theatres, that's the first performance of Romeo and Juliet in their theatre.
Wow.
Giles Allen, who is a Puritan, is not overly fond of the fact that he's built a theatre on his land.
Okay.
Because that's
they hate
deemed
The
as...
theatre. It's
So you'd think that
biased.
Alan would want it off his land then, because it's it's a
Well, he does,
building
doesn't
of
he?
ill repute. you know.
Well, yeah, he wants the players off his land.
Yeah,
He's not going to renew the lease because he doesn't want the
Yeah, right.
of course. Yeah.
He'll use the
theatre.
building.
But he'll have all the timber. He'll have all
I'll have that.
the value of the building. He'll keep
Yes,
that.
okay. Yeah.
So by the time 1598 comes around, they've been arguing for 2 years. They don't, like you said, ended their tether. They got no other way out.
I have a cunning plan which could get you out of this problem.
Now, because the lease wasn't reviewed, Burbage promptly dies, apparently of a broken
dear.
heart. Over his although probably more likely consumption.
Yeah, or...
Plague.
Plague. He was-
teeth.
or he died of teeth, yeah. Or the other things?
Suddenly
Suddenly, yeah.
was one of them.
Died suddenly. Died frighted.
Yeah, was that one?
Frighted, yeah.
Many people die in fear. I wonder how many die of fear.
Teeth was the best one.
It's great digging down into the national statistics on deaths. It's like how many trouser incidents there are and pencil-related accidents.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking about Nat?
Yeah.
Oh, right, sorry.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Pencil.
Yeah.
Death, that undiscovered country from whose burn no traveller returns, puzzles the will,
So in 1632, which is when records come from, so a little bit later, 470 people died of teeth.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I know. That's why I
That could
said
mean
that.
anything, like you could have been bitten.
He bit me. Yeah, he bit my neck and I died of. Yeah.
See, that's
I don't
evidence
think
of vampirism. That's what that is.
I don't think that's. I don't think they mean that, but anyway.
10 people died of cancer and wolf.
Wow.
Not one, but
That's
10.
the worst kind.
And both cancer and a wolf.
I wonder if that's kind of someone who's very ill and dying of cancer, and just like close relatives simply killing them to save them from the pain and saying, "Oh, wolf got them."
Yeah, possibly. I wouldn't be surprised because you could get away with it then, couldn't you?
I like 46 people died killed by several accidents.
Yeah, wow. That's awful.
Any idea how it happened? None whatsoever. Complete mystery to me.
Comedy of errors. I fell over a cliff onto some stones that dragged me under the sea.
Where I was attacked by sharks.
And a lion.
Watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
What's cut of the stone? Is that guillotine?
No,
I don't know.
Predates that.
5 people died of cut of the stone.
Sharp rocks.
I don't know. This is described as how they died, but 6 people died just from being dead in the street. That's not how they died.
Cause of death.
Right.
Found in the street.
Why is this so hilarious? Dropsy. What was dropsy?
Oh yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Is that some too much water?
It's a friend of Tinky Winky.
Flocks.
Pox and flux.
Cut of the stone, I think, is probably like during an operation to remove kidney or bladder stones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There appears to be no at the time, name for suicide, apparently. But it's fine. They've 15 people died because they made away themselves.
Wonderful.
They made themselves away. So
what a lovely phrase. Yeah.
What a lovely phrase. Yeah.
It is.
That's what we're all thinking. They made away themselves.
You just imagine a very sort of sweet provincial pastor explaining that to the people who've come to the funeral.
To die, to sleep, to sleep. Hey, perchance to dream. There's the rub.
Can you look this up? Quinsy.
Tonsillitis.
Okay, and the possibly the best one is 13. 13 people died of planet. A planet?
Hit by an asteroid?
Yeah. Meteorite impact.
Died of a planet.
It's thought to be the influence of a planet.
Right. Well, anyway, as I've always said...
so is it astrology, perhaps, then?
I mean, how?
I don't know, Mars rising, he dropped dead. You know?
Everything just means they just died and we don't know why.
As I've always said, the old ways that people die is hilarious. So anyway, the owner of the theatre, for whatever reason, dropped dead.
The owner of the theatre dropped dead, yes. Alan is like, right, you players...
Go away.
I'm going away because it's Christmas. I'm going away to one of my country estates.
Yeah, right. Okay.
For a period.
Right. It's all coming together.
For the holiday period.
Yeah. Right, yes, of course you
celebrate Christmas.
You better not be here when I get back.
Practically my mind evolved a spectacular plot.
We won't be, they all said.
Picture the scene. 1598, as I say. Dozen men, they break into the theatre.
And continue breaking it.
and then break the theatre.
Katie, this is your night. Don't let the haters stop you from doing your thing.
Nail by nail, they strip it down, they knock out all the wattle and daub, they take the timbers, they load it all onto wagons, and they take it away from Shoreditch, where it was.
It was in Shoreditch, so it wasn't on the north bank of the Thames, mirroring where it is now.
No.
The south bank.
It's not directly across the river, no.
Oh, so it's even harder.
It's harder, yeah.
I thought, for some reason, I got it in my head that it was
just
opposite.
Chucking them across.
Yeah, it was opposite where it currently is.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
so it's a mile up the road.
Yeah. They took all the timbers, and they stored them in Bridewell. And then, over the course of a few months, they built a new theatre using that timber. The new theatre, which they called the Globe, was a lot bigger.
So one assumes they must have either stolen another building or bought timbers for the new...
Because otherwise that doesn't work.
Quick, steal another building. We're going to put on an extra floor.
Mind you, the current and presumably original Globe never had a roof. Doesn't have a roof, does it? It's all open air.
Yeah,
so the audience has a roof.
No, it doesn't. No.
Nice building. Bad roof. Good parking.
The gallery, the rich audience has a roof.
Right,
The open air...
People don't.
Well, obviously the
stalls.
Open air bit. There's basically, there's no stalls, it's all standing. But presumably the stage might have a bit of a roof.
The stage has a roof.
Talking about the current one. Yeah. But there's no roof, basically. So my point is, if you quite rightly saying how do they build a bigger one, they could have built it... The original one might have had a roof, and then you use the roof to, make the theatre bigger.
Well, it was
no roof.
Bigger in the sense of that it was wider and taller. It was bigger in each aspect. I don't know if the original one had a roof.
As similar as two completely dissimilar things in a pod.
By the light of their tiny lanterns and candles, they dismantled the theatre.
So they just came up with that idea immediately.
Well, the lease says we don't own the land, but the thing that's on it,
we bought.
Technically, it's ours.
I've got a plan so cunning you could put a tail on it and call it a weasel.
I'm with them.
And as long as there's no one here to stop us, let's just go in. We can take all the props, all the costumes, all the bits and bobs and stuff, and the building itself. We'll just take everything that is or isn't nailed down, or nailed together, and then we'll take the nails.
Absolutely.
You knocked down a building?
A few months over Christmas.
So over Christmas,
they moved everything.
It wouldn't have taken a long time.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't have taken a long time to take it apart. But a lot of people suggest it was overnight, but I think it probably was a bit longer than that.
Yeah, it must have just felt like it was overnight.
It would have been quick. It would have been a couple of nights, maybe.
Well, it was still logistical.
And if he's not there, you take all day. You don't wait till it gets dark.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. There's no police about or anything like that at all. So you just what your obstacles are big heavy things
without roads.
That mud track, nothing. One bridge. Are we going to say London Bridge?
Probably, and it would have been built on.
It was a totally.
It would have had houses on it,
absolutely,
shops and things, and it probably, maybe not at night time, but it certainly would have had a lot of traffic on it.
Yeah, so the notion of carrying, unless they didn't do that, they put them on as you say, on a barge or something. But which would have been, that would have been annoying as well, wouldn't it? It would have been, you still would have had to row or wind in the right direction, sail to go directly over the river.
But like I said, it was on carriages, so they just,
it would have been
go up and across the bridge and
But anyway, logistically, it's still massive for that. But also, how many people are doing it who are giving up their time to do this?
The players, you would think.
The players.
Yeah.
Who, all right, fine.
Chamberlain's men.
The Chamberlain's men.
Right, okay. Well, anyway, it's very interesting.
They nick it. They nick it, and they hide all the bits of it in this warehouse in Bridewell until months later into the spring. When they eventually get all the material across the Thames, they lease another property next to the Thames, a short distance away from where the modern one is now, and they get in a carpenter named of Peter Street.
Hello.
He's a well-known carpenter. Everyone, of course, who could do anything at this point is well-known. Anyone who's skilled at the thing.
Yeah, sure.
So he's a carpenter, so they get him to build the theatre that they call the Globe.
What, one bloke?
Well, he would have had he would have been master carpenter, and then he would have had apprentices and labourers. So he designs and builds a new theatre, this Globe, and he's got formed because he's already built the Fortune Playhouse, which is another theatre in London, which is a historic location. So he builds the Globe, but obviously they want it's going to be bigger, it's going to be taller and more. And it can hold up to 3,000 spectators, which for a timber auditorium is pretty good.
That's big.
That's incredible.
But then I imagine that's pretty much shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip.
Pretty much, yeah. I can tell you some information about the Globe Theatre.
Please do.
So over the 14 years between it opening and when it burned down, obviously most of Shakespeare's well-known plays are performed there.
And was that because he chose that theatre where he wanted it to be played, or did he have involved?
He was a member of the troupe of the Lord Chamberlain.
Oh, great. Right, okay.
We don't know 100% if he was one of the thieves who stole the thing, but he was a member of the troupe. The troupe were all involved. It would have been all hands to the pump.
Of course it would,
so
yeah.
Right. Probably was there.
I'm a Shakespearean actor.
So it's not like he was holding the standard banner marching along the street with the theatre dragging behind.
Verily withal. So, if you wanted to go into the theatre, a bit about the roof. It's circular in form.
It is.
All around the outside. It's 3 tiers high. Around the outside you have a gallery where, if you're wealthy, you can stand in the gallery. So you get a better view and you've got a roof over you. The centre of it is open to the elements like
it is.
Okay.
That's the standing area where the poor people would stand.
Yep.
In amongst one another. That cost a penny to stand there. It was called the pit, and if you were standing in the pit, paid a penny, stand in the pit, you were called a groundling. Stand on the ground.
I quite like that.
However, if it was a particularly hot day, people in the pit were referred to as the penny stinkers.
Right, yeah. Very good.
You guys smell like you fell into a dung heap.
I think a penny sounds quite a lot, actually.
It would have been a fair bit, yeah.
Because a penny there were
farthings.
Yeah, there was less than a penny denominations, weren't there?
There's a penny, halfpenny, farthing.
Because there would have been people who were earning that per, I don't know,
a day.
Yeah. It would have been significant.
Quite a lot to me.
Yeah.
Considering it was 400 plus years ago.
But they wouldn't have been going to the theatre every night. Because they would have been working 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
So what was the capacity again?
3,000.
3,000. So that's 3,000. Like, if it was full to capacity,
it would have been a lot.
It would have been more than 3,000 pennies, and 120 pennies to the pound. That's still a lot of money. That's a huge amount of money.
You would be more likely to be in the gallery. You would be, a middle class.
Yeah.
And you would be able to.
Would have been a sixpence.
A shilling.
Yeah. But I mean, they would be more likely to go more often, and then the penny people, the latest, would go, once a month or something like that. That'd be their treat.
Well, let's say it only took 1,000 people per show, and that's huge.
But they didn't have the overheads like that. There's no lighting or sound rigs.
No, of course, Well, tallow.
Tallow, yeah.
Huge tallow bill. Costumes.
Yeah. Well, they would have been
merchandise,
t-shirts, Facebook. Maybe they did
CDs,
marketing.
Holy bank balance!
They would put up a flag outside the theatre that was to show you what was playing. The flag would be colour coded, so if it was a black flag was flying, that meant that they were showing a tragedy.
Okay.
If it was red, it was a history, and if it was white, it was a comedy.
Huh.
Good, isn't it?
That is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
people might not be literate necessarily.
Yeah, right, okay. So nothing more than that. It's, what did you say? History, tragedy, comedy. There's no other. There's no other option.
Not a laugh. What colour's the flag?
Yeah,
black.
right.
Oh, forget it.
No,
comedies, documentaries, and violence.
Yeah, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But it's quite good because, I'll say, people might not be literate. You go to the theatre.
Absolutely, yeah.
Julius Caesar. Is that good? Is it funny?
Yeah.
Let's look at the flag.
It's black and yellow. Oh, it's a black comedy.
It's a hazard area.
It's a nice dark comedy. It's red.
That's it.
It's on fire.
Now, in 1613, the theatre burned to the ground.
I think the phrase rhymes with clucking bell.
During a performance of Henry VIII.
During
a performance.
Oh dear.
There was a stage cannon.
Right. I must admit, the first thing I was going to say was, did the original landowner get his own back?
Yeah, it's a tempting idea, isn't it?
Clearly.
He waited 10 years.
Yeah,
and then...
exactly,
I bide my time.
Yeah, because, he would have been livid, I would imagine, when he got back from Christmas holiday. Hang on. But apparently it was a misfiring or an actual firing.
Actual firing of an actual cannon.
Yeah.
Just a pile of cordite in the corner of the...
Oh dear. So it burned down.
Yeah.
Don't you know the building is on fire?
Well, the good news is that no one died in the ensuing fire.
Yep.
The thatched roof caught fire.
Wow.
And the only other thing that caught fire was a pair of trousers that were being worn by a man in the audience. His trousers caught fire from falling ash and thatch. Yeah. Luckily, the fire was put out with a bottle of beer.
Well,
what?
Which would have cost
if it was put out with a bottle of beer, how did it burn to the ground?
No, his trousers were put out with a bottle of beer. The theatre, meanwhile, was an inferno.
Oh dear.
Fire, no good. No!
Now, they did rebuild the theatre, but Shakespeare never wrote any plays for the second one. The new one. Yeah.
Lost his muse.
So it was rebuilt within the year, but it was actually then closed down by the Puritans in 1642. So
how dare you?
So the
have enjoyment.
So the globe of today is actually globe 3.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And so the
Since the first one was called the theatre.
Wow. Yeah, but one burned down. It was rebuilt and then closed.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
So this is globe 3, and theatre is.
So how long was the gap between 2 and 3?
Right, so 2 and 3. So it was closed in 1642. The new globe was built in 1997.
Wow. It's quite a long time.
Because we're at the site where the one that was closed was built and was turned into housing pretty quickly after they shut it.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
So the new theatre is the only building in London allowed to have a thatched roof.
Is it?
Yeah. Because of the Great Fire of London.
Yeah, sure.
So after the Great Fire of London, 1666.
Yeah, gosh.
Thatched roofs in London have been banned since 1666.
Is that within the city of London? Because you can have thatched roofs.
It's within the city, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's across the whole of Greater London as we would know it today. And it's about 750 feet from where it used to be, the old one was.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
So it is down the road. It's still on the banks of the Thames, but it's not on the exact site, but it's not far away.
Okay.
But it is 1,500 capacity, not 3,000. So it's
a bit
smaller.
Well, they're not necessarily smaller, because we always like a bit more space these days, don't we? I can't imagine people crushed up like they were in the...
Well,
I think it is a physically smaller footprint on the ground.
The stalls, that's basically just people standing. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's people standing in dirt, watching, and you're encouraged. I don't know about encouraged, but you are totally allowed to shout out stuff and interact and
it's the closest approximation they can make under current building and safety regulations.
Yeah.
And the operation of it, as you say, is as close as they understand things would have been in a theatre at the time.
I mean, I don't know whether they chuck cabbages at them, but if they don't like it. But yes,
you are allowed to speak out. And normally in a theatre you're expected to be respectful, but obviously back then you had no respect for actors and do what you like. And some people then, as now, want to be the centre of attention, so they will.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know,
there's always one.
There's always one, isn't it? There are benches in the gallery, but you can, if you wish, request a cushion.
Can you?
Which wow. wasn't bad at the time.
And how much is a standing seat now?
A standing seat?
Yeah.
You mean a seat? What are you talking about? The posh?
It's a pretty penny.
Tickets start at £8 English.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
That's actually really cheap.
Which will be stinkers.
Standing.
Yeah, which is actually quite rough.
Pretty good.
Like for a 3-hour play.
Yeah, I know, it is pretty awful.
Standing is,
in that respect.
But I mean, £8.
Yeah, it's very good.
Average price 17, which is, again, for theatre, I mean,
that's really cheap.
Twice
that, that's really, easy.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
It's a good thing I have my own ticket, just in case you guys try to ditch me.
Didn't they found the original site, didn't they, in 2008?
Say on.
They were digging in 2008 and they found the original, or they found the foundation of a polygonal structure they believed to be the remains of the northeastern corner of the theatre.
Excellent.
Oh, right, cool.
So there's a plaque now in Curtain Lane.
Yeah, Curtain, see?
Curtain Road, I beg your pardon.
Which direction is that?
Over there.
Shoreditch.
Yeah.
Oh, that original one.
Yeah.
Sorry, right, okay. Music at the Globe has until very, very recently been live. They are now playing around with lighting and sound.
So are they?
Which I think
down with that sort of thing. Yeah.
Burn it down.
Burn it out. Give it the plague.
Give everyone who's in it the plague. No, that's rubbish. Having a PA system and
No.
Shut up.
I mean, those little tiny black speakers nailed up with a thin wire coming off them.
Yeah.
That'd be horrible.
So, does anyone know any popular culture references to William Shakespeare?
No, he never did anything.
Why bothered? We don't need to do that.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about on this episode, then just Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website. That's www.truecrimediary.co.uk. Please remember to leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can email us. That's stuff@truecrimediary.co.uk. My thanks to Jed and Rue and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on next date in our True Crime Diary.